Welcome to another week of Overwatch Reddit Questions. My name is KarQ. We take the highest upvoted from the OverwatchUniversity subreddit. Here we go. First one of the week is a really good gameplay one. Why do higher ranks defend much further back? My theory is that the team's field of view is larger the further back you are, so you have more control of the map, ? Or maybe it's because there's less of a chance to get sandwiched. I've just been noticing this recently compared to my Plat 2 games where, for example, on Circuit Royale, we'd hold the corner near the cart or the corner on Route 66 instead of holding height on top of Cafe. Great question. You're on the right track here with more control of the map. It's actually less about necessarily defending further back and more about, the higher ranked players have kind of figured out where the most optimal defending positions are to get the most value. So having control of the map is one reason, having better sight lines, better angles, better kill boxes, or better cover, and obviously having high ground. It really does actually depend on the map though. A lot of the high ground tends to begin a little further back from the attacker spawn door, and most players will opt to defend from there because it's high ground. It's a better top-down angle, it's hard to get contested, etc., etc. This isn't necessarily true on every map, though. Sometimes the higher ranks or just people will tend to spawn hold because it can create 3 fights instead of 2. So let me give you an example. Before Havana got reworked, Havana spawn hold was a very common one because it creates a fight right at the door, right? And even if you lose, you can take 1 or 2 minutes off the clock. That's big. You only have 4 minutes to attack. That means even if you lose that first fight, you're not defending further back. You lose that first fight, you have enough time to come back just around that first corner. And if you lose that one, you have a third fight right before that checkpoint. Now, if you decide to defend further back and kind of give up that first spawn hold, you do get the better sightline advantage. Like, it's fine too, except you give the attacking team like free cart push up to that hot zone number 2. And if you do mess up that first fight on hot zone number 2, your entire defense is down to only that fight and then potentially a second one right by the checkpoint. So instead of a 3-fight scenario, you get a 2-fight scenario. So again, the answer to, defending further back is a safer default for better positions, better sightlines, better angles, better cover, and high ground, but some maps and some comps can again ignore this strategy. Another example is like Shambali Monastery. The default was to hold further back, but now a lot of teams, they saw it in the Overwatch OWCS where they spawn hold, same idea as Havana. You take that first fight on Shambali right at the door, take a second fight around the first wall corner, and the third fight right before the checkpoint, versus just playing up on that high ground on the back, which is fine too, like a Sigma up on the high ground, but you do give up that free cart push for a certain amount of time, which you can just opt to avoid. It depends on your team. There is that default strategy of holding further back, but you totally can spawn hold if everyone's on the same page. Does a Zarya counter actually exist as a tank play besides another Zarya? That bubble cooldown is low enough that it feels like there isn't actually any counter tank champion. You can't dive her backline as she just bubbles them. You can't kill her as she just bubbles you, and basically no tank has enough DPS to break bubbles solo in that situation. That is a good idea to do so. When I am playing a DPS, I just go Bastion and I have no troubles with her, but in the other 2 roles, I have an abysmal win rate against her. In tank, it's almost certainly under 20% for games where they play Zarya a majority of the game. Every guide on the internet seems to say that the best Zarya counter is just another Zarya, which seems like an awful way to have a champion design. No champion I play can do anything against her. Diva, LMAO get lasered. Winston, good luck diving her backline when she has bubble. Doomfist, same problem as Winston. Junker Queen, you can't heal at all during bubbles, and I only have 400 health to survive that time. Hog Hook, literally anyone, LMAO. Zarya is an all or nothing hero. You either hard focus her and count her bubbles, and then you pop that bubble with damage and then burst her down when she's out of position, or you completely ignore her and keep her energy low when she bubbles. It's like a collective mindset an entire team needs to adopt and adhere to if you really want to minimize her value. In your case here, you think you want to break the bubble solo, but that's not necessarily your job, and that's not what you're supposed to do in a lot of matchups. It seems like you have this idea that you're supposed to 1v1 the Zarya. So when you play, the Zarya is a very high damage hero, especially if she's at high energy. And you wrote here Diva get lasered. You feel like you have to 1v1 here, but you don't. Diva, you have the agency to fly out of the laser range. Laser is only 20 meters. And you can just stop shooting as Diva if you don't want to burst down the bubble, if your team's not all on the same page. Winston, you can opt to play out of her effective range. You can ignore her, dive the backline, bubble, cut her off, force her to turn around and look at her team to bubble somebody that you're focusing on Winston. That's fine too, because what you're doing as Winston is you're creating that separation. If the Zarya 180s and tries to bubble a teammate behind her that you dove in as Winston, what does that do for your team? Well, your 4 people on your team all of a sudden notice the enemy Zarya is not walking forward and taking space. She's just backing up and and giving up space, which opens opportunities for the rest of your team to capitalize on. Doomfist, same problem as Winston? No, it's the same idea. You're making her turn around and lose space. Junker Queen's a little bit of a harder skill matchup, but a lot more finesse. You have to pressure her, make her burn bubbles, pressure somebody else. You knife somebody else and you try to pull them in and do damage and try to burst them. Yes, it might get canceled out by bubble, but that's also opening more opportunities to kill the Zarya. It's a team game. Zarya counters is more of a playstyle and mindset adaptation, if I want to put it straight. Learning Doomfist is miserable. I mean, not so much a question, but a discussion piece. Let's read what we have here. I'm a low diamond tank player. I wanted to pick up Doom because I never really played him and he feels so much more fun to play compared to the other tanks I've played. Now, trying to learn Doom, when I make any mistakes or can't carry the game, I get ridiculed by the enemy team and flamed by my own team all the time. It's very discouraging and tilting to get told to swap and then made fun of almost every game. In addition, the enemy team, not that they have a choice, tries to make my game as miserable as possible by instantly picking Cass, Hog, or Ana. This, combined with my still lackluster skills with Doom, makes me not want to play him at all, yet still I find him more fun than other characters. I still make stupid plays with Doomfist and I'm confused most of the time. I really struggle with staging and picking targets. Usually I make the mistake of picking a fight and I'll lose and not playing safe enough. I just feel rushed to look for kills because my team wants to go in, but I'm still looking for wasted cooldowns or an isolated target. It may be miserable, but what you're going through is the growing pains and obstacles you're going to have to go through when you play a mechanically intensive hero like Doomfist with one of the highest skill ceilings in the game and crazy hyper mobility, right? You kind of just have to ignore the outside noise with people getting flamed and stuff and just play on. Definitely don't queue any ranked right now. It sounds like you're not too familiar with some of the mechanics and movement as well. That's where I implore you to maybe go into a custom game, do some Doom rollout workshops that are always like running in the custom game list, and get familiar with his mechanics and feel fluid with his rocket punch cancels and movement. And then just throw yourself into a bunch of quick play games, ignore what people say because you're learning. It's quick play. And playing into many different situations and game states is the only way you'll learn how to like pick the right targets, target prioritization, how to manage your cooldowns. Like the workshop and custom game is only good for like personal mechanical movement, but the rest comes down to your decision making, which it's fine to make stupid plays, right? The only way to make them not stupid is to continue to play Doom and realize that they're stupid and have the self-awareness, and then keep picking different options and plays until something clicks. But yeah, these are just growing pains. You just gotta stick through it, my friend. Mauga doesn't freaking die. I am a gold 4 or 5 tank main, previously support main, and I struggle so hard against Mauga. There seems to be a recurring comp in Cold where the other team has a Mauga with 2 pockets and a Bastion in the front line. Against this comp, it feels like there's just a wall and I cannot do anything without dying. They can just cycle through their cooldowns nonstop and I can't push at all. If they have either Cardiac, Overdrive, Turret, Nade, or Suzu, I either instantly die or they get healed right back up until they get one of their strong cooldowns back. I personally feel like I can't do any significant damage to their front line because they are so tanky, but if I try to push one of their supports, I just instantly melt. Any tips on how to counter strong front lines like this one? I mainly play Ramattra, Orisa, and Zarya. Also, I won't mirror Mauga. I hate playing this character. You have 3 options. 1, Ana Nade. 2, Zenyatta Discord. 3, even Junker Queen for the anti and the alt. And number 4, natural cover and recognizing when the enemy Mauga ha-has. The ha-ha is the cardiac overdrive, or I like to call it cardiac arrest, where he goes ha-ha, and that's where he gets 100% lifesteal for himself and all the allies in the circle for 3 seconds. I call it Mauga like the Bastion of tanks. You know how Bastion has that window where he transforms and he's like, oh shit, but then when he's out of it, he's kind of a lot weaker. If Mauga ha-has, that's your like oh shit button, and that's where I really implore you to make use of natural cover or pick a hero if you don't want to mirror. That can kind of minimize those 3 seconds. So either ducking into cover, using your full defense matrix as Diva, Sigma shield, Sigma suck, Ram shield, hold up your Rhine shield during that haha. That is like the bread and butter of Mauga's value. Now, if you're trying to gun for the backline, I just straight up wouldn't do it on these 3 tanks you play, because like you can't close the gap on these heroes reliably. So if you do that, the Mauga will absolutely melt you, and all of Mauga's like healing is because he's shooting you as a tank, which is why again you have to go into cover and minimize that 100% lifesteal. Like 100% lifesteal is the highest in the game. It is crazy how strong that ability is, if it's not like, you know, recognized. So once you understand that Mauga puzzle, that Mauga ability cycle, and know where the value comes from, the tanking job will become a lot easier. Your goal as a tank isn't necessarily against the Mauga, isn't to necessarily 1v1 him. You have to wait for the window of opportunity where he's a little bit weaker, and then collectively with your team capitalize on it. That's all. Why are my games harder at night? So I've been playing this game for a long time. I almost always play during the day, like from 9 a.m. Central to about 4 p.m. Central. Very rarely on the weekends or in the evenings. Lately, due to some changes in my schedule, I can only play during the day 2 days a week. So the other 3 days I'm playing at night, typically 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. I usually hang out in the bottom of Platinum, typically between Plat 4 and 5. However, anytime I play in the evening, which is more often now, I seem to go on an incredibly bad losing streaks. I usually fall down into gold, but the minute I start playing during the day again, I usually climb my way back into my normal Plat 4 or 5 by the time I'm done my gaming session. At first, I thought it must be that there's a wide range of SRs in the matches at night because perhaps I'm playing during less peak hours, but tonight I made the choice to pay extra attention to the rank ranges just to see if my suspicion was correct. And most of the matches were pretty close. There were a few outliers where the matches had a wide disparity, but most of them, the rank was pretty much the rank that I was in for the most part. So what gives? Do the sweats come out at night because I play somewhat early in the morning? Do I get forced onto EU servers and that's the difference? So when I play it in the evening, I'm actually on NA servers? No. Also, the population pool in a platinum lobby is like so high. I think this just sounds like confirmation bias. You're gonna get people who say games are harder at night because there's sweats, the kids are home from school, and then during the daytime, the adults are like at work and like they can't play during that, so it's easier. And then you get the kids or you get the unemployed people who are playing and they're tilted. This is all just psychological BS. Instead of thinking like what gives, what the opponents are and the kind of people you're playing with, think about yourself. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just saying, are you tired at night? If you play at night, were you working all day? Were you doing something else that drained all your mental resources? Perhaps during the day when you used to play, like you woke up fresh from a sleep, you just had a lunch and there's sunlight and you just feel better and you play better and you make better decisions. Like this is real. Like these are real psychological factors that could be affecting you that you may not realize. And at nighttime, 9 p.m. to 1 a.m., like you're closing into your body and your mind might be mentally checked out. You might have just had dinner. I don't know about you. I eat a nice big meal at the end of the night and I get real sleepy real fast. So you may not be as sharp at this time of the night. That's something else to consider. At the end of the day, this is all just confirmation bias. Focus on yourself and look at your personal habits at night, and maybe that could be an answer that you're looking for. Should I just heal as Juno? I'm confused. I'm in Silver 2 maining Juno. Ana was taking a lot of damage, thinking she was the tank. I was healing her non-stop, and she died. And then she said, Juno, can you heal? I had 2k damage and 8k healing. She had like 10k healing. And I said, really? And then the whole team said I was not in a position to talk because the enemy Baptiste had 4k damage and I'm no competition. I said, all right, I'll just heal, and then we lost. It's not like I was going out of my way to do some damage, so I'm confused. Can some more experienced players explain to me why I should just heal? Listen, you're in a silver lobby. You're not really sure what you're doing because that's why you're asking this question. Do you think your Ana player knows what they're talking about? Probably not. Don't listen to your silver teammates. You focus on you, they focus on them. The Ana, died, so she's looking for a scapegoat and blaming you because she had 2,000 more healing than you. Like, forget about it. Now, you shouldn't just heal. Like, obviously, for Juno specifically, she's one of the heroes where you can only opt to shoot to do damage or shoot to heal, similar to Ana. She's not like KarQ or Baptiste where you can actually weave in damage and healing at the same time without losing any healing APM. But that's besides the point. The point is you shouldn't just heal. If people are pretty healthy and they're not at any reasonable break point, squeeze in damage wherever possible because you always want to be continually adding value to the team. If they're full health, there's nothing to shoot. You're not going to shoot them at full health, right? Do damage where possible because that's good for the team. And then like sometimes just healing when your team is on the back foot, you're close to your ultimate, your tank is low. Like these are opportunities where you are supposed to just heal, build that big orbital ray, and then go for the proactive game-winning ultimate. But yeah, you shouldn't just heal, and you also shouldn't listen to what your teammates are saying in silver. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about. You're doing fine, no worries. How do I understand Mercy? I'm a plat tank player, and I usually play comp with the support duo. Every time I get a Mercy as my second character, I play so much worse and I can never win with her. And I feel like I could be playing stronger with the character, but I don't understand how. What should I be doing to play around or with a Mercy? So one thing to understand as a tank player, when you have a Mercy, the Mercy's priority is not to heal you. Her healing is pretty abysmal. It's like 55 or 60 HPS. Is it back at 60? I can't remember what patch we're on. All in all, if she's like flying close to the front line to heal you, she puts herself in a pretty bad spot. So generally, Mercy's best value is to pocket and heal up the squishier heroes, the damage heroes, the other support, and then enable them with a damage boost. So if you understand that as a tank, you know that you can't all in all the time and just take constant chip damage. One of the big things in like metal rank tank players is they don't use natural cover enough and they just take random damage and spam and poke from random bullets and strays that they really shouldn't be taking. And what does that do? That adds pressure to your own supports to constantly keep you topped up. A lot of tanks will blame their supports for not keeping them up, but I'm like, bitch, you're just standing in the open, just taking 10 million damage per second. There's more damage can come in than a person can spit out in heals. Think about it that way, right? So if you have a Mercy on your team, how can you play around it? Understand that your job is to enable your DPS to pop off. So, take less chip damage, focus on holding the space and holding positions to keep your Ashe or you're standing on the high ground with that Mercy, and they can only stand there because you're standing in this spot and like holding that space. If you're just all inning and then you die, then your Mercy playing in the back is just like, and the Ashe has to like retreat now because there's no tank alive. Like you staying alive is like incredible value. And with Mercy, because her big value is also res, and res brings you back to full health, you can also, like, if you know you're in a shit spot and you're going to die, like try to put yourself and just die in a spot where like the Mercy can probably res you around a corner where she can pull it off safely. Then you're back in the fight at full health. That's something else to consider as well. Last one, I struggle with taking criticism when it comes to Overwatch. So I'm in gold 2. I got a VOD review done when I was bronze a couple of months ago. Hey, congrats on the climb. I watched it fine then when I didn't care and I knew I was bad. Now I'm still bad, but I care to improve, and for some reason I'm just struggling. I bought a VOD review to help me because I've been stuck gold all season, and it got delivered today and I cannot bring myself to watch it. I get too anxious. I know I'm just gonna cringe when I watch it, lol. I don't know what it is, because you'd think if I care more about improving, I'd want to watch it more because I want to get better, but nope, the guy is nice too, hahaha, FML. Okay, you ended up watching, it wasn't bad. He had some good things to say along with all the criticisms, which made me feel better. Thanks for the comments, you guys eased my stress. This is definitely like a personal struggle. I would say you have the self-awareness that you're bad in bronze and you took steps to try to improve, and it looked like you definitely improved the gold too. So that's already way better than the person that is in bronze with you in the same rank who thinks they're a god and says, I don't deserve to be in this rank, blah, blah, blah. I'm so much better than you. You have self-awareness and like you took steps to try to get better, and it's okay to take constructive criticism to improve. That's the beauty of life. It's very humbling too. The worst is obviously when people criticize you when you're not welcoming it, but this one, the onus is on, like, you chose to take the VOD review because you're trying to welcome that criticism. But it's tough because you probably your whole life, like, people have been backseating you in your game saying like you're bad and you're doing this wrong, but like it's so much better when the choice is on you, the ball's in your court, where you're like, okay, you tell me now what I'm doing wrong, when you're mentally ready for it. And I think this is just my armchair psychology, is like your brain is kind of battling that dichotomy, that duel that is just going on. The evil demons in your ranked games always backseating you and telling you what to improve on, versus the one where you actually go out of your way to kind of get better and have people tell you where to improve. So that's probably giving you the anxiety. But here's the thing, you already bought the damn VOD review, you just got to watch it, and I'm glad you did because it looked like it was a good happy ending. So taking criticism when it's appropriate, good for life, good for Overwatch, good for improving in all facets of your life. Okay, that's it for me. Thank you very much. Goodbye. See you next week.